just like that, it's time for another series of coming out stories from What Goes On Media with me, Emma Goswell. Unbelievably, we're now entering our 4th year too. If you've listened all that time, then thank you. And if you're new, welcome. We pretty much do what it says on the tin. Speak to people from right across the LGBTQ+ spectrum to hear their stories and experiences of coming out. This series will be taking you right across the globe, hearing from people in the UK, Ireland, Australia, America and Malaysia. We'll be chatting to lesbians, gay men, bisexuals, trans men, trans women. But we start Series 4 with a non-binary icon. I think it's fair to use that term. My first guest is a brilliant broadcaster who's currently co-presenting The Breakfast Show on Gadio. They have a couple of coming out stories as they came out first as a lesbian, then as non-binary. It's time to hear from Paris Monroe.
I identify as transmasculine non-binary.
Okay.
And I go by any pronouns at any time. So you can't go wrong. It's all right.
Oh, okay. So you won't be offended if I say she or he or they?
No.
Either.
I'm happy with all.
And how did you come to that conclusion then? Because
so
it's not an easy conclusion to come to, is it really? There's a long journey here, I know.
So for a very long time, throughout my entire life since I was little Diddy Paris, I always felt like, it's almost like, if you think about it in this way, you know, a Sagittarius is almost like half human, half animal, half horse, and then mythical, whatever. It's like, I feel like my identity in my head and in my spirit and soul, I feel like I connect and feel like I am both male and female. Mm-hmm. So I am more than happy to go by any of the two pronouns. So yeah, I don't know. Is that weird? Does that sound weird?
No, it's not weird at all. And
comparing it to Sagittarius.
No, comparing it to being half beast might be slightly weird, but fine, whatever works for you. But I feel like you probably made that decision a long time ago, but this would have been, in the 90s or noughties, and there wasn't necessarily the language around being non-binary then, was there? People didn't really come out. There weren't many people that came out as non-binary 20 years ago. So was this something that you just sort of internalised and thought about for a long time, I guess?
Yes and no. So I came out when I was 16 as bisexual. At the time I had a girlfriend and I was terrified to come out as lesbian because I was scared to be labelled lesbian. With growing up in a really strict Catholic background as well, I found it really, really difficult. And when I did come out, one of my family members did disown me and didn't talk to me for a very long time. And it took them 7 years to tell me that they loved me.
Gosh. Do you mind me asking who that was? Is that someone close in your family?
Yeah, it was my granddad. So he was essentially like my father growing up because it was a single parent family with my mum. And it was my mum, my nan and my pap. So yeah, it was my granddad. He's a wonderful, supportive human being now. And I think he's, it's taken him time to kind of come around, but he definitely throws nothing but love in my direction. And it was just his upbringing and religion.
But that's hurtful at the time. You can rationalise that years afterwards, can't you? But at the time, when presumably you're a teenager then, and that's the tough thing to hear from someone that you love and respect.
For somebody that wiped your bottom and washed you and clothed you and fed you, to go from that to, it's like I don't have a granddaughter anymore. You don't exist to me. It's like you're dead to me, really. Hearing those words, you're going to be, you're a complete shame because you're part of that. Like, that's disgusting.
And this was when you came out as bisexual?
Yeah. And I kind of accidentally came out to him because I went to Brighton Pride and he was like, oh, what did you do over the weekend? I went, I went to Brighton Pride. But I didn't think, I was just talking like it was just almost normal to talk about it.
Well, it is.
Yeah. And then he looked at me like with the most concerned face that you've ever seen on a person. Concerned and disappointed and angry at the same time, but so calm about it. He just looked at me with all the disappointment in the world, like I just shattered in front of him.
And you hadn't even mentioned your sexuality. Plenty of straight people go to Pride events, don't they?
Exactly.
Brighton Pride's basically a music gig, isn't it? You could have said, I just wanted to go and see Britney, Grandad.
Exactly, yeah. Everybody goes to see Britney. Yeah. That's so camp, I love it. But yeah, I went to Brighton Pride and accidentally came out to him. When it came to growing up a little bit more and understanding sexuality, because you're not really taught anything like this at school, I realised, right, do you know what? I identify with being a lesbian. Like, I resonate really well with that. So for a long time, I've been identifying as a lesbian. And the older I'm getting, the more accepting I'm becoming of myself, and the more I'm allowed to love myself and be, which is really weird to say out loud. But yeah, it's just this Paris now meeting a Paris 10 years ago, you'd laugh. Honestly, you just think, what? Like, that's not me in the future, you're joking.
That is one of the only benefits of getting older. You give less of a shit.
Yes.
and you learn to accept yourself more.
Exactly. So I've learned to love, accept myself. I've done some research. I've looked into this. I had been curious about being trans and the umbrella non-binary, and I made more of an effort to learn a bit more about it and stuff. And I actually realised, hang on a second, like, I must be. Because for so many years, looking in the mirror, I'd look at myself, and I'm not afraid to admit this. Like when you finish from the shower and you look at yourself, you have all these voices in your head telling you whatever about your own body. But I looked at myself and I just wanted to get rid of my chest. I didn't belong in this body. It was like, why me? Why did you have to throw me in this body? I don't feel connected, but I do, but I don't. So there's constant dysphoria.
So what did you want your body to be? What's your ideal?
Well, what I am going to be doing now. So at the moment I'm on testosterone, and I'm masculinizing my body to fit more what's on the inside, but still keeping parts like female, feminine. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
So you're making yourself more non-binary?
Exactly. Yeah. Like a blur between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I feel like I am in my heart and soul. And so many people in our LGBTQ plus community have inspired me to really look within and just love myself, which has taken 31 years. But I don't fully love myself, but I'm getting there. And I'm just allowing myself to be myself. I just want to be me and exist in the world as myself.
But that's essentially what we all want, isn't it? But it's so difficult to get there, isn't it, sometimes?
I was so scared to come out, honestly, as trans, masc, non-binary. And I broke down in front of my partner, Zoe, who I've been with for, it'll be 2 years this August. She is a proud lesbian and has always identified that way, and appreciates a good-looking guy, but wouldn't have a relationship with one. And I was really, really scared because I was trying to masculinize my body. I'm going to lose the love of my life. And I genuinely, it broke me. And every single day for about 2 weeks solid, I was talking to Zoe, and I was just in floods of tears because I was so scared she was going to leave me.
And what was that conversation like when you finally said, this is what I want to do? I want to lose my chest. I want to be non-binary. I want to masculinize my body.
As for the chest, she said, I'm not with you for your chest. You can do whatever you want with your chest. I love you. You can do what you want. And I was like, okay, wow, that was nice to hear. In terms of masculinizing my body, she kind of got hints of that because I was watching a lot of trans videos. I think she could see it come in. But because it really hit home and it was really happening and I was really speaking about it, it was more of a, right, okay, so this is happening. Right, let me just process this. So it just took a little while to process, but she is so supportive. She's even coming with me to Turkey to get my chest done.
When's this happening?
No, not August, October.
Wow. Yeah. You're crowdfunding for it at the moment, aren't you?
Indeed, I am. And the reason why I'm going to Turkey is because it's a lot cheaper.
So you've not gone down the route of going to a gender clinic or anything like that and trying to go through the NHS route?
I'm going through private in terms of getting my testosterone and my therapy and counselling sessions and everything, purely because the waiting list just to be in Manchester alone is just like between 3 to 6 years. Insane, and that's just for one appointment, just to be hi, I'm Paris, and please can you help me because this is how I identify. Just to say those words to a person is going to take 3 to 5 years. So I've gone down the route of private because, and it does cost a lot of money, but
That's it. I mean, I've had to go down the private route to get HRT, and I know how, so we're both buying hormones privately, and it's not cheap, is it?
No, it's really not. It's not.
Gosh. Okay, so, I mean, that must have been a massive weight off your chest, though, because...
No pun intended.
No pun intended!
Did you like that?
As I was saying, I was like, well, that's a slightly wrong thing to say, isn't it?
No, it's all right.
Oh, no, but, to go back to your partner, that she was going to stand with you and support you and love you for who you are, because, again, that's what we all want, isn't it? We want the people we love to love and respect us for who we are.
I genuinely thought that I wasn't going to live past 31.
Why?
So many times I was going to end everything. So many times. Because I just thought, this is not normal. Why am I feeling this way? Like, it would be easier if I was just trans and not non-binary, and it would just be easier if I was cis, and then all of these things would be going through my mind. And my granddad doesn't know that I'm transitioning.
Well, that was one of my follow-up questions, yeah. Because if he didn't accept you being bisexual...
Back when I was 16, yeah. And I didn't... He's not very well, and this is awful, but I didn't want to see him because I was scared he was going to come at me because I'm taking hormones. And he's got literally probably less than 2 years. He's got a really bad lung condition. And... I'm terrified, and I didn't see him over Christmas because I was scared, because he's going to know when he sees me, he's going to hear my voice has dropped a bit. He's going to see my hair's changed. He's going to see my mannerisms of me being myself, and it's not going to add up in his head.
But do you feel like you should do it sooner rather than later when you go further down?
I think, yes.
Journey.
But how do you say it to someone who's had a million heart attacks? And you know what I mean? It's that's what goes through my head. And
what about anyone else in your family? You haven't mentioned your mum. Did you come out to them?
My mum, very, very supportive. Now, my mum's one of those spiritual ones with all the crystals and the tarot cards. And
Great.
The mediumship, and I love that. That's very much my mum. Bit hipster. It's really cool. I love it. And one time I was literally just thinking a thought. It was really weird. And she goes, well, you were meant to have this journey. Where did that come from? Because I didn't say a word of this. You were meant to have this journey. You were meant to live life born as a female and live as a female, as a woman, and have this experience. I was like, what are you talking about? Because I've not said... I said about my chest, but that's it. I've never said anything else to her. She's like, well, I know. I know.
So you didn't have to tell her even? You didn't have to come out?
I didn't have to say.
Did you have to come out as gay to her? Did she know?
Oh, God, that was a whole kettle of fish. So I actually came out to my brother first in private. Don't know why. I just felt like I could at the time. And my brother, little rascal, he outed me to my mum. We were in the kitchen chopping.
And presumably you said, "Don't tell mum."
I did.
Yeah.
We were chopping vegetables in the kitchen, and my mum comes in, and Reese, my brother, he's great now, but he was like, "Gay, gay, gay," shouting "gay" at the top of his.
How old was he?
Oh my God, he was 14.
Little bugger.
I know. Oh, just want to shake him. So yeah, my mum looked at him and went, "Reese, are you gay?" Like, what? This is a bit weird and out of the blue. And he went, "Not me," and pointed at me. And I was just like, oh, no, I needed to do it in my own time. This is not the way. So she turns to me and she says, "Paris, are you gay?" But really? What? And I went, "Well, Mum, I'm bisexual and I have a girlfriend." So a lot came out. It was a lot for her to process. And she went to work the next day, bawling her eyes out to her boss, saying it was all her fault, that it's her fault for all these failed relationships that she's had with guys, and which she's had awful relationships with guys that have hurt her mentally and physically, hurt her. And she thinks it's her fault because I'm attracted to women. And I said, "Oh my God, no, it's got nothing to do with you. This is just how I am. This is how I feel.
Born this way, mother."
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That this is just the way it is. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, she struggled with that. And when we'd have arguments or disagreements, she would use she would throw, "Oh, you fucking dyke," and throw things like that.
Really?
Back then. I remember, what was it? There was a competition on TV, and two, I think it must have been like something along the Britain's Got Talent, that kind of thing, where two men were dancing together back then when I was 16. And her and her friend went, ew, two guys dancing together, that's gay. And I turned around and with the most, I was just fueled with so much. It needed to explode.
It's these little things that parents have no idea how important and significant they are when they make those little comments that are so damaging, aren't they?
Exactly. But it's not the worst question she's ever asked me. She's asked me, Paris, what's scissoring? I was like, I don't know. I don't really know. Don't know. She learned that off South Park.
Did she really?
Yeah. So this is where my mother gets her education from, South Park. But
it sounds like she took a while to accept your sexuality, but she's now much happier with your gender. She is
cool. Like my biggest supporter now. She said, I'll come with you to Turkey if you want. I'll be there every step of the way. I'll hold your hand. I'm proud of you. And she even said, oh, how are you, baby girl? And she's always said that. But I looked at her and I said, Mum, it kind of, I don't know how to say this without upsetting you, but I don't mean to upset you. And I know that I go by all pronouns, but sometimes it kind of makes me feel a bit like, ooh, when you say, hey, baby girl. She goes, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. What shall I say instead? And it was that question that really made me smile. What would you prefer? What would you like?
So she's respecting you.
But I didn't expect that. And it was just so heartwarming to have her just be so understanding, listening. She listens now. She's the kind of person that dictates to everyone. But she actually listens to me. She listens and she wants to understand where I'm coming from. It's so refreshing to see that.
Oh, lovely. And your brother, is he on board with your trip to Turkey and everything that's happening?
Yeah, he was like, do you want me to call you my brother, my sister, my sibling? What do you want? I said, to be honest, whatever. Like,
just call me Paris.
Yeah, I'm just really happy that you're supportive, basically.
And then, of course, you did quite a brave thing, I think, didn't you? And that you actually came out to the world, didn't you? Because you are a broadcaster, you are a host of the Gadio Breakfast Show, and you decided to tell the world.
It's a bit bonkers because, you know, when you're doing, whether it's a podcast or a show, you build a relationship with your community, with people that listen, with people that support you. And it's like, I felt like I was lying to everyone by not telling them how I truly felt. So I felt like I had masked that. And even if you look at the website, the picture of me, I don't wear makeup. And that picture of me, well, I mean, drag queens have looked better. Like, I tried my best. But yeah, that's definitely not me. If I could turn back time, I'd take a picture of myself that could reflect who I am.
I'm sure you can get the website picture changed at some point.
Yes, hint, hint.
Yeah. So you made the decision because you felt like you were lying to the listeners or just not being your true self, because, you know, the best radio presenters give something of themselves and they're honest and true, aren't they? So you felt like you weren't being honest and true to the listeners. But, you know, how scary was it and what was it like, that process of telling the listeners?
Oh, my God, I've wanted to do it for a while. I was so scared. I even asked my boss, like, Chris, is this okay for me to come out? I was like, what are you talking about? Of course it's... Are you joking? You're at Gadio.
It's a gay radio station.
Yeah, come on. Stop asking these silly questions. But still those questions go through my mind. And I was terrified to the point where I could just wee a little bit. It was really, really scary. And what I appreciated with people listening was they were being vulnerable with me. I wanted to be vulnerable with them. And I wanted to share something so intimate of me, just like they do with themselves.
And what sort of reaction did you get?
It was a really, really wonderful reaction. A lot of people just throwing wonderful, cute messages at me saying, like, I love you, I support you, congratulations for coming out, it means you can be your true self. And a couple of articles are doing the rounds and stuff, which is quite nice. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, you've had some press attention for it.
Honestly, Emma, it feels like I have been set free.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's good because there aren't enough non-binary people out there in the world that, you know, it's still quite misunderstood, isn't it, wouldn't you say? So it's great for someone like you to be visible and to be fairly high profile and talking about this.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not even the first non-binary person at Gadio or on radio in general.
No.
Jacob Edwards, insanely talented broadcaster, so funny. Honestly, they're just like rising star comedian.
Also on Coming Out Stories, please go back and find Jacob's episode.
Yes, do. And we also have Shivani Dave as well, and probably many more in the making or in hiding in the closet at the moment.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I'm not the first non-binary, but I am the first on Gadio Breakfast, I believe. So coming out to the nation was a roller coaster of feelings. I went home and I cried.
But happy tears.
Happy tears, like, oh my God, I can actually just like not apologise for being myself. It was crazy.
So finally, what would be your message to anyone listening who thinks, oh God, that's me. I'm not brave enough to come out as being non-binary. I'm thinking all these thoughts. Someone that's maybe 10 years previous in your journey. What would you say to them?
Oh, if you're thinking, right, this is something I want to do. First of all, just think, is it safe enough for you to do so? Because it might not be safe for you to do so just yet. Do all the research that you can. Speak to people, speak to open-minded people who are willing to listen, and gather a community of friends together who are like-minded. You can share your journeys together. You might even share some advice with each other as well. But I'm 31 and I came out as transmasculine non-binary at 31. And I feel like this is only the very beginning of the rest of my life. So I'm going to be that cool little... if I'm living till 90-year-old little transmasculine non-binary little grandma pa thing, playing the PlayStation with their dogs.
Wow.
It's never too late. And if you, in your heart, you feel like that's who you are, don't apologise for being yourself.
A huge thank you to Paris. And since we spoke, there's been an update and big news in Paris's life. They are not going to Turkey in October, as they mentioned, because they managed to get top surgery done in Manchester in September instead. I am so happy and so proud of them. For further updates, you probably just need to tune into Gadio any weekday morning, 7 till 10 a.m. It's a great show, highly recommended. More at gadio.co.uk, where you will also find updated pictures of Paris. Yes. Right, next time we're off to Ireland to meet Serena. She's a lesbian who came out a lot later in life. She already had kids and was about to marry her male partner of 12 years when she finally came out to everyone.
And when he was 9, I sat him down and I said, look, I love Lisa and Lisa loves me. And there was something on, I think on Coronation Street or something at the time. And I said, we're not just friends. I love Lisa the way so-and-so loves so-and-so. And, how do you feel about that? And he just said to me, thank you for telling me, Mammy. That was very brave of you.
At the age of 9. He's wise, isn't he?
Oh, he was so wise. I went in, I remember, then he said something like, can I have a chocolate or whatever? I was like, yeah, fine. Gave it to him, went into the shower, and I just sobbed.